Hello friends, welcome to Shriram's. The topic for today's discussion is randomized controlled trials. The coronavirus vaccines that Pfizer and Moderna companies came up with were checked for their efficacy with the help of randomized controlled trials. So let's get to the basics of it. What are randomized controlled trials? A randomized controlled trial or RCT is a type of scientific experiment that aims to reduce certain sources of bias when testing the effectiveness of a new initiative, be it a medicine, or a government program, or a new consumer product. How is it done? It is done by randomly allocating subjects to two groups and treating them differently. One group, the experimental group, receives the intervention being assessed, while the other, usually called the control group, receives an alternative treatment such as a placebo or no intervention. Are the groups monitored? The groups are monitored under the conditions of trial design to determine the effectiveness of the experimental intervention, and their efficacy is assessed in comparison to the control. What does it mean to blind the trial? The trial may be blinded, meaning that the information which may influence the participants is withheld until after the experiment is complete. A blind can be imposed on any participant of an experiment, including subjects, researchers, technicians, data analysts, and evaluators. Effective blinding may reduce or eliminate some sources of experimental bias. Why blind the trial? The randomness in assignment of subjects to groups reduces selection bias and allocation bias, balancing both known and unknown prognostic factors in the assignment of treatments. Blinding reduces other forms of experimenter and subject biases. A well-blinded RCT is often considered the gold standard for clinical trials. Blinded RCTs are commonly used to test the efficacy of medical interventions and may additionally provide information about adverse effects such as drug reactions. Are RCTs only used for clinical trials? No, RCTs are also employed in other research areas, including many of the social sciences. Please elaborate. In 2019, the Nobel Prize for Economics was given to Abhijit Banerjee, his wife Esther Duflo, and Michael Kremer. It was for RCTs. The RCTs were conducted to check for the use of educational, health, empowerment, and financial initiatives. What are the advantages of RCTs? It is part of evidence-based public policy. It saves money for the government, helps more people, and public confidence is boosted. What are the disadvantages? It is expensive in terms of time and money. There is a volunteer bias. Population that participates may not be representative of the whole. It does not address systematic issues like inequality, environmental crisis. In other words, it's piecemeal. What is a placebo? A placebo is anything that seems to be a real medical treatment but isn't. It could be a pill, a shot, or some other types of fake treatment. How do you differentiate between efficacy and effectiveness? Efficacy is in controlled conditions and effectiveness is in real-world conditions. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast.